everyone on a captivating Friday morning / Friday afternoon. It's the Teddy Bear, and welcome to Night Traxx Radio. And today's artist spotlight, Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, Lord have mercy, and still looking captivating. The one and only Melissa Manchester with some new music, new hit single, Through the Eyes of Love. And we are celebrating 50 glorious years of making captivating music. How are you doing today, my love?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is truly a pleasure. I cannot believe 50 years have flown by that fast.
Yes. Well, 50, we live in chapters, and I have certainly lived and used my 50 years in this career to learn a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to touch up on that, what you just said, learning a lot. I had the pleasure of interviewing Frida Payne yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And yes, and we were talking about the transition from an artist from the 70s to where we are right now as far as how the music industry has changed overall.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that there's an emphasis still put on songwriting?
Well, songwriting has, what constitutes a song has changed over the years. It's always about the song. I mean, that's the vehicle for recognition and holding on and capturing a new audience, over and over again. It's always about the song. But what makes a song has changed over the years. When I first started in the early 70s, songs were still melody driven.
Right.
Starting from the 1920s, when popular songs were starting on radio, which was new at the time. And then in the 80s, when disco started and when electronic music started, then songs became rhythm driven. And so the melody became sort of secondary, and it was shorter, it was repeated and repeated, which meant that melody couldn't really be developed the way they had been, and lyrical ideas were short and repeated. So lyrical ideas weren't developed the way they had been. So yes, it's always about the song, but the complexion of the songs changed.
Without question, I've noticed over the years where during the 60s, especially the 70s, where everything was based upon the singer-songwriter,
Yeah.
lyrics had meaning, they had
Yeah.
substance to them. And I've seen over a period of time where the 80s, 90s, and especially now, you're not giving me anything. I don't feel anything that I can really cling on to, something I can really wrap myself around like Linus's blanket, something I can really just lose myself into. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about you. When you sing from a place of love, of purity, and people, it resonates with people. How does it make you feel? How do you
Well,
make you feel? Go right here, please.
I appreciate what you're observing. I really do, because for me, I mean, my first introduction to great singing. I mean, I was raised in a household with a lot of music. My father was in the orchestra at the Metropolitan Opera. He played the bassoon, so there was always music in the house. He was always practicing. But the first singer that plucked my 5-year-old heartstrings was Ella Fitzgerald. And so it is those legacy artists, Ella and Judy Garland and Billie Holiday and Sarah Vaughan and Aretha Franklin, and the guys as well, Sinatra and Nat Cole and Johnny Hartman, and all of those whom many of whom were not supported well. And so they
Right.
had abbreviated lives, abbreviated careers, uh, died tragically, and yet their art lives on. And so, because I was trained by listening to them all the time, because I loved them so, I didn't even know what I loved about them. They just moved me so deeply. I learned how to perform and how to sing from listening to them, and that's what I bring forward. I'm a really I stand on the shoulders of all of them, and that is what I bring forth when I'm performing, and that emotional component creates a very communal experience with the audience, I believe.
Because I feel as though when you go to see a live performance, it's a gathering. It's just
Yeah, it is.
everyone's it's a gathering, and it's something magical to have the ability to unite so many people, and you've always had that ability. Does it ever get old sometime? I mean, you've done so much performing. You've been
Ah, I have. No, it never gets old. I never get tired of performing these songs that I've written or recorded or had friends write for me for such a long time, because the songs become like living monologues. And the more you live, the more you can invest into the performance of the songs. I don't know how I knew so much when I wrote some of these songs when I was 24, 27, and yet they have grown with me and allowed me to keep infusing them with deeper and deeper and deeper life experience. And the other thing, just to add to your point about a performance being a gathering, in addition, that gathering is of a safe place
right,
where people are free to remember things that they didn't realize they had forgotten. And
right.
so times, after a performance, when I do my meet and greet, people will have tears falling down their faces because they will say, your music got me through some really hard times. And it's very, very touching.
Growing up for me, I'm not ashamed to admit I'm 58 years old. So I think I grew up in the best era of
Hmm.
music
Hmm.
with you, Helen Reddy, Linda Ronstadt.
Hmm.
You just brought something so magical to your performances and your live singing. It was incredible. And as you said, you being able to touch somebody from an emotional standpoint. How does it make you feel today when you have that ability to really touch someone from an emotional standpoint right now? Say, you know what? I've been experiencing some really bad things in my life,
Hmm.
and this particular song that you've sung many times has really touched me and helped me get through a situation. How does it make you feel?
You know, um, it 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 makes me feel so blessed that my songs have a life beyond my performance, that they actually can be of service in somebody's life. And the longer I do this, the more grateful I am for the journey, because being an artist is rigorous, rigorous pace, because it's not for the faint of heart. The
Right.
artist walk is quite challenging, but it's a good version of normal for me. But I find that the impact one can have through their art on somebody's life is just breathtaking, really.
And I think a lot of us don't really appreciate, as you say, the gathering or living in the moment, so to speak.
You're absolutely right. I mean, honestly, you're absolutely right. When I hear of or see, a clip on YouTube or whatever of an artist saying something like, "I'm so bored with singing this song, but you all paid to see it, so I'm going to sing it," and I'm thinking,
Right.
how does that even work?
Right.
You just insulted everybody who paid hard-earned cash to see you and want to be gifted with this beautiful creation of your. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, I kill the tune, but the feeling is mutual because I remember the last time that I had an opportunity to interview you, and this is my third time, which is a blessing for me. You said,
Yeah.
one of the amazing things that you said to me that really has stuck with me. You said, you know what? You can be having a horrible day, and I can go on that stage, and for that hour and a half, it disappears because
Hmm.
it's all love. Because whatever I'm going through, I'm feeding off the audience.
Hmm.
They're taking me to a completely different place that I've completely forgotten whatever I'm experiencing or going through off the stage. What is that euphoria like to have that kind of connection with so many people?
Yeah, performing is very rigorous physicality and mental. discipline, and definitely a spiritual component, because once you have the first two lined up, you're physically well, and you know everything that you're going to be doing, then you sort of let it go and stay in the moment and see what happens, see what the audience gives back to you, see how far you can go deep in the moment of performance and share with the audience. And it's really thrilling. I mean, it's really thrilling. Sometimes you don't, you may be tired. Maybe I didn't sleep. Maybe I had to travel all night to get to this gig, which is rough because it's
Right.
physical work. You need stamina to do it. But once it starts, something gets lifted from your heart and something gets eased in your mind, and it's not that you see where the finish line is, it's that you're just loving the journey in that moment
Absolutely.
along with the audience, and you're grateful to be there, and they're grateful that you were there and that they were there. It's beautiful. It's inexpressible, actually.
You've always talked about the journey. How have you seen your journey as far as songwriting, the ability to write songs? How have you seen it somewhat mature over the last 15 years?
Right. Um, I'm a better songwriter now. I because I can edit as I go along. I can see what's out of balance. My goal for the lyric of a song is to feel like it's all coming from one voice, so that it is really a moment captured in time, that it all makes sense, that one thought follows another, and then when you come to the end, it's over. And so I have more chiseled instruments, editing instruments, as I go along. I can sense quicker if an idea is a title, or if it's tucked in the middle of a verse, or how to support it, or who I'm singing to, or where my mind's inner camera is leading me to. So that part is more refined just from doing it for so long. And yeah, it's really quite something. But I love to. That's what one of the reasons I love to teach is because when I'm teaching, 17, 18, 19, 20 year olds about songwriting, about stagecraft, no matter how much they've gone through, what I realize is how empty their minds are because they just haven't lived very long.
Right.
And so all I'm doing is helping them to think about things. And
Right.
and it's really, really interesting. I was very blessed to have been taught songwriting by Paul Simon. uh, yeah, and he was in the thick of his career, so
Right.
he wasn't just sharing theory, he was actually sharing serious experience, and it was and a lot of that is what I pay forward to the kids.
I remember, I'm glad I have a really great memory, even at this stage of my
Uh-huh.
life. And one of the things that you really just left with me, just a really a nugget of just really important information. You said, never be afraid to live in the moment, always be willing to expand your horizons.
Mhm.
And the sense of vulnerability in your music will give a greater appreciation because you, like you said, we've always tried to capture the moment. For you, you've always been vulnerable and so authentic in your music. You shared things that a lot of people may not even know that was going on in your
Well,
personal life.
thank you. For me to navigate life, it shows up in songs.
Right.
And what I've learned to be true is that most people don't have those kind of creative outlets, and so they respond to the art of a performer, of a singer-songwriter who gives them a voice, literally gives them a voice. And so after a show, many times people will say, it felt like you were singing just to me. And
Right.
that's the intention. when I'm writing something, I'm facing a blank piece of paper. I have no idea how it's going to affect somebody or be successful or not be successful. I'm just going on the urgency to manifest an idea that keeps insisting in my mind to be expressed. But but I've written about my life and my observations, and my songs are they're like prayers. They are offerings, and I am grateful that over the long career, people have grown with these songs and gotten married to these songs and made babies to these songs and survived jail and army stints and all of it. It's just really remarkable.
It's definitely magical. And speaking of magical, what comes first? I know the songwriting is the emphasis, but when you're starting off on a canvas, what comes first? The writing or the melody for you?
The idea
The
comes
big-
first. The idea
Okay.
comes first because the idea will inform everything. The idea will inform the point of view. It will, and I write away from the piano. I spent a lot of time walking around, just walking around, and I walk around and I hum a lot. I hum the words. I speak the words out loud and see where my voice goes up and down, and that may inform the melody. That's how Cole Porter used to write, by the way. And and then out of that, and sometimes when I have a block, um, and I can't quite push forward, I stand in the shower because for some reason the water coming down gets my mind to relax, and it allows the fruits of the idea to come forth, the language, um, because there, what I have learned for myself is that there are two kinds of writing. There's writing from the eyebrows up, and there's writing from the heart down. And writing from the heart down is much harder to access because that's where authentic language comes from. Writing from the eyebrows up is like typing, it's just
Right.
very thin writing, very thin writing. And I can sense more spiritual nourishment if I access the heart down.
Is as far as you can remember, is there any particular song or an artist that you've heard sing this song that really just touched you and in a very emotional way?
Artists that have sung any song? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, again, all of those artists that informed my childhood and teenage soul, Ella and Judy and Sarah and Aretha and Sinatra and Nat Cole, all of those people, because in those days they were not only spectacular singers, they had spectacular songwriters writing for them.
Right.
So what they put forward was such excellence, time after time after time. Even the funny songs, they just set such a high bar. And because I have a great big voice, that's what was appealing to me. I mean, it was really interesting when the Beatles showed up and sort of changed everything in
Right.
terms of pop music. But even then it was very rich because even then radio, though the American pop song was changing, even then the landscape of music was so rich. I mean, you had the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Motown and the Philadelphia sound. It was all just gorgeous music. And what I mean by gorgeous music is if you took away those fantastic arrangements and those big walls of sound, if you sat on a piano and played those songs, Tears of a Clown, anything that Smokey wrote, those
Right.
magnificent compositions. The lyric images are astounding
Right.
over and over and over. So I came through a very rich inheritance of popular music. So that's what you try to carry forward.
Without question. I don't know if many of the listeners are aware. It was a very great um, Claire Fisher. incredible. I mean,
Yep.
I'm lost for words on how incredible Claire Fisher was. Instrumentation, because that name always sticks back to me, because when it goes back to Prince and Purple Rain, and when those strings were added, it gives such an emotional. I it's I it boy.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But even when the Jackson 5 came out with "I Want You Back,"
Uh-huh.
and you listen to those string arrangements doing this rhythmic stuff,
Right.
mind blowing.
Yes.
It was orchestral music. It was orchestral arrangement being used percussively. Wild, wild. So yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, and I don't, and that's one of my things that I don't see a lot of in today's music. We get in the studios and we're using the different machines and auto tune, and I just don't see it anymore. You are one of the last rare vocalists in this industry. There's a lot of singers, but a lot of people don't understand there's a big difference between a singer and a vocalist, and you're one of the last few vocalists that are left. Being an independent artist now, do you have a greater appreciation to have that kind of level of creative control over your music
Oh,
than back then when you were with a when you were with a major label?
oh yeah. I mean, the whole industry has been redefined because we
Right.
are in the golden age of the independent artist. And it was through my students at USC when I was teaching at the Thornton School for a couple of years. They introduced me to the world of crowdfunding and all this and that. Honestly, it was huge. It was really new. But I, suddenly became the executive producer, and my musical ideas were implemented all the time because it's what I was hearing, and I gathered a group of fantastically talented collaborators to help me manifest what I wanted to do. And that is true. They call this age the democratization of music,
Right.
Spotify and YouTube and all that. And it is true. You can stick a microphone in front of your face and post, and all of a sudden you have 1 million followers on TikTok. But the question is, then what happens? Because in this day, the downside is it's much harder to make a living as a songwriter. We used to be able to make a living because of advances or whatever from the publishing companies. But now, because of the way songwriters are paid, everybody has figured out there are more pieces of the pie. So
Right.
songwriters actually create the vehicles by which to create a career, are getting paid much less, and there are very dedicated people and some Congress people who are trying to change the equation so it can just be more fair for everybody. But the industry has changed radically, and I walk my little lane of being at last an independent artist. I'm grateful for everybody that I've worked with, the saints and the scoundrels, because I've worked with them all. But 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 it's a very interesting moment in which to learn and take advantage of how to get your music out.
It is. It really is. I mean, artists that I've had the pleasure of conversing with over the years, one of the things they constantly harp on me, say, Teddy Bear, I'm still trying to navigate and learn how to use the social media, because when I was on a major label, everything was done for me.
That's right.
Promotion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the record label was the bank, and they were the
Right.
engine, and they had all those components. And you're absolutely right. The code, independent artist is code language for you have to do 5 times as much yourself.
Yes,
And that is
absolutely.
true. And that is true. But if you can find the help of usually, a young artist, a college student, a high school kid who understands platforms and how to access them and how to navigate through all of the different platforms that could work for you, it's possible to find your way and become part of this, and discover a whole new audience that has really in their way been waiting for you.
Speaking of waiting for you, the new hit single, Through the Eyes of Love, your voice is just captivating.
Oh, thank thank you.
It is captivating. And the family, remember, the new single is available as we speak. But one of the things also I wanted to ask you about, does it surprise you that you're seeing so many artists that are actually selling their catalogs?
Well, no, it doesn't surprise me to know of artists that are selling their catalog. It also doesn't surprise me, and I'm on that bandwagon, of artists that are re-recording their hits so that they can now own the masters. Because for those of us who were signing recording contracts in the 70s and even the 80s, but certainly in the 60s, record companies and artists had no idea of what was to come in terms of revenue streams and social media and the power of it all. And so we signed contracts that were really set in stone. And so the only way to empower ourselves, which is why I re-recorded Through the Eyes of Love and many other things, which will be on my forthcoming album called Revue, which will be my
No.
20th album, is
Okay.
these great songs, many of my charted hits, so that I can own the masters. And if anybody wants to license them for movies or commercials or stuff or TV, they can go through me directly.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's the greatest control that you can have is
It
to
is?
own your masters, because now you're controlling you're controlling the monetary aspect
Yes.
of your
Yes.
music. And I remember
Yes.
Prince used to talk about that all the time.
He was so far ahead of the game.
Yeah.
He was so far ahead of the game. He really understood it.
Own the business, know the business side of the industry.
Well, that's right. I mean, when I started, if you were an artist, and particularly if you were a female artist, it was you stay in your lane, you do your art, and manager, lawyer, business manager, press person, and agent will take care of everything. Well,
Right.
now that we have matured and now that we can educate younger people coming up, we have to let them know that they are the center of the hub. And the deal is all of these allies will try to make you feel like you're working for them and that
Right.
you're to have them. But the truth is you are the one with the ideas, and you are the one that can make all of them, including yourself, a lot of money. So it's important to educate young ones and help them feel some kind of empowerment. And in the early times of your career, it's very hard to trust that. It's what it is.
Without question. You came in an era of music where everything was accessible. You had a
Yeah.
lot of yes people
Yeah.
surrounding you. How did you manage at a very young age to navigate and get through that and to where you are today?
Well, it was hard because, when you're starting, you're very please like me and all of that kind of stuff because I
Right.
was raised to be a nice girl. And it's very hard to trust your strength and to trust your wisdom. We always have wisdom. When they say trust your gut is literally your second brain. And when something doesn't feel right in your gut, you have to trust it. But as a young person, and in those days as a young woman, it was nearly impossible to find language to stop things if they didn't feel right.
You're like the umpteenth person that has said that to me. It says how important it is to have a inner circle to
Yes.
keep you balanced, the people that you know that really truly care about you as a person and
Yes.
not just what they can get from you is
Yes, it
really
is.
truly important. Now you just mentioned the album. Now when can we expect the album out? It's been a minute now.
It has. It has. I started recording it before the pandemic, and then the pandemic shut everything down. And I was aching to put it out, but then when I realized, well, it's my 50th year doing that, let's celebrate with this album. So it'll be out later this year. I was hoping that it would be out this month, but we're negotiating with a couple of record companies, so it'll be out in this year.
Now I know you're still doing a lot of performing. Have you gotten any interest as far as performing in Europe, the UK, Australia, Japan?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to. The thing is that it's so costly to get over there to these beautiful places. that I would have to be doing lots of performances across Europe, across Japan, across Australia to make it worth your while, because just the airline tickets are very costly. So, yes, there is interest, and hopefully before long, this 50th anniversary will be radiant and attract all of that beautiful stuff. But
I hope so,
unfortunately,
because you.
thank you. I have another interview that I must get to. I'm so sorry, because I've been
No,
enjoying it
that's
so
quite
much.
all. That's quite all right. Look, I'm honored to have you on. And very quickly, if you want to see Miss Manchester perform on April 26th, she'll be at the Katharine Hepburn Cultural Theater. That's in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. And also on April the 28th, she'll be at the Hackensack Meridian Health Theater at the Count Basie Center of the Arts. You can get all the
Right.
ticket information. Go to her website. That's at
Yes.
melissamanchester.com.
Yes.
Thank you so much, my queen.
Thank you, Teddy. It's so good to see you again.
Same here, my love. The one and only, the one and only legendary Melissa Manchester here on Night Traxx Radio. My goodness, it's always wonderful conversing with her. She is definitely a treasure. Again, to get all the latest updates and ticket information, stop by her official website. That's at melissamanchester.com. Again, she'll be performing on April 26th. That's performing at the Katharine Hepburn Cultural Theater at Old Saybrook, Connecticut, and also on April the 28th at Hackensack Meridian Health Theater at the Count Basie Center of the Arts. Get all the official website, get all the pertinent information. You can also purchase tickets on there. And while you're there, be sure to get her new hit single, remastered, redone, Lord have mercy, through the eyes of love. And her new album will be out sometime this year. And I promise you, when it's ready, like grandma's cookies, we'll have her back on the show. Okay. Definitely be a beautiful experience. And speaking of beautiful experience, I want to send out a very special thank you to them, my other queen, Free to Pay. Thank you, my love, for joining us yesterday. Be sure to get her new hit single, of course, featuring the one and only actor, musician, Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, he has a new album coming out real soon. And the name of the hit single is called Lazy Afternoon. That is available as we speak. And she also has a wonderful new hit single, solo single, that is doing very well on the charts. And it's called Do You Still Dream About Me All the Time? I want everyone to have a fantastic weekend, and to get all the latest updates, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's at youtube.com/Night Traxx with 2 X's, Night Traxx Radio Podcast. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook. That's at facebook.com/LOTL Radio, The Zone. Also on TikTok. Yeah, we're on TikTok too, at Night Traxx Radio. And last but certainly not least, on Instagram. That's at Instagram.com/LOTL The Comfort Zone Radio. It's always been a beautiful experience. And as in always, keep it soulful here on Night Traxx Radio.